this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
People at work supported me while I was going through treatment by not treating me like somebody who was going through treatment. Treatment sucks. Cancer sucks. Being engaged with work really helped to, I just knew I was going to beat this thing.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
If our Republican majority stand up for these priorities, the American people will stand with us in record numbers. We have to be strong, we have to be tough, and we can't let these thugs on the other side of the aisle push us around, because what they're doing right now is wrong, and the public knows it. Now the public knows it, and they're on our side, but you have to fight, and you have to be tough. You have to be much tougher, and you have to stick together. Republicans have to stick together.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Thursday morning. Nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update. It's called a modern-day Watergate. We've got a deep dive into the bombshell Senate Judiciary hearing on Arctic frost. And now what we know about Jack Smith. He was spying on anyone that he could that was connected to Donald Trump, and then trying to create crimes out of thin air. Will some of these people be held accountable? That's exactly what the Senate Judiciary Committee is doing as we speak. And we've got the highlights. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
We are learning a lot more now in the bombshell Senate Judiciary hearing on Arctic frost and exactly just how corrupt the Biden administration really was. Now, before I get into what the Senate Judiciary Committee told us today, let me just remind you what Arctic frost was all about. It was the internal code name tied to that federal investigation effort that was launched during the Biden-era Department of Justice, an operation that, according to multiple whistleblowers and internal memos, now is coming to light. It was designed to track and build cases tied to election-related activity, political organizing, and what officials labeled as domestic extremism risk networks. Now, on paper, it was framed as a national security initiative, but the reality was it was all about doing political surveillance on Donald Trump and many of his allies. And now, thanks to the Senate Judiciary hearing, we're getting a much clearer picture of what was really going on behind the scenes. The hearing turned into nothing short of a political earthquake. Senators revealed new testimony and internal communications tied directly to Special Counsel Jack Smith and what he allegedly demanded during the height of Arctic frost and the operation. Now, according to the documents that were presented during the hearing, Smith pushed for expanded authority to subpoena communications tied not just to suspects, but to broader networks of individuals. He reportedly advocated for aggressive timelines, demanding prosecutors move faster than traditional thresholds would normally allow. And most explosively, lawmakers revealed discussions suggesting an effort to directly link political speech and organizing activity to potential criminal exposure. Let me say that again. This wasn't just about investigating crimes. They wanted you to believe that. But what it was actually about was weaponizing and redefining what could be considered a crime to lock up Donald Trump and his allies. Now, according to testimony, Smith wanted broader use of material witness warrants, even in cases where individuals had not been charged. That is what you call a fishing exploration, hoping to find a crime with no crime that had actually been committed that you knew about. He supported also using digital surveillance tools to map associations between the political activists that he wanted to go after. That was the tree connected to Donald Trump at the top. And he reportedly pushed the Department of Justice teams to build cases, as he described it, outward, meaning start first with a target aka Donald Trump or one of his associates, and then expand the net until something actionable is found or appeared. This is a stunning admission by those at the hearing, making it clear that, yes, they didn't know of any crimes that had been committed by Trump or anyone around him. They instead just said, we're going to pick someone and then find a crime that we can charge them with to shut them down politically. This literally flips the entire justice system on its head. Now, in America, you investigate a crime and then find a suspect, but not under the Biden administration or regime. They picked the target first, then went looking for a crime that they could create out of thin air. Yes, this is a grotesque abuse of power. Republican members of the Senate Judiciary Committee did not hold back. They described Arctic Frost as a weaponized pipeline inside the DOJ, a system that allowed federal prosecutors to test legal theories on political opponents, and a framework that risked turning the justice system into a tool of intimidation. Several senators pointed to internal language suggesting that traditional safeguards, probable cause, evidentiary thresholds, prosecutorial restraints were seen as quote-unquote just obstacles rather than protections of those that are innocent. And that's where the abuse of power argument became central. Because if federal authority is used not just to enforce the law, but to reinterpret it and apply it selectively, then you don't just have a legal issue, you have a constitutional one. Now, President Trump responded swiftly and forcefully. In remarks following the hearing, Trump described the revelations as one of the most dangerous abuse of powers ever uncovered in Washington. President Trump didn't stop there. He also went on to say that Arctic Frost was a coordinated effort to silence political opposition under the guise of law enforcement. Trump also reiterated a core argument he made repeatedly. The federal agencies were turned against the American people. And that was clearly revealed in the hearing, and it proves the system was rigged at the highest levels. Now, if you want to know just how political this was, I want you to take a listen to this part of the shocking amount of data that came out. Senator Cruz confirming that Biden's FBI wiretapped the current White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, during a privileged call with her lawyer without the consent of either party. Yes, so much for client privilege with your attorney. No, they said, we don't care. We want to listen in because we're trying to find anything we can on Donald Trump.
Jack Smith issued nearly 200 subpoenas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Those subpoenas targeted over 400 Republican individuals and organizations, correct?
Correct.
Many of whom had no connection to those who entered the Capitol on January 6th, correct?
Absolutely.
And in fact, some of those organizations didn't even exist on January 6th. Is that correct?
It is.
So we're not talking about a narrow investigation. We're talking about a sweeping operation targeting virtually the entirety of the other side politically.
It was a fishing expedition.
So let's turn to the Constitution. Subpoenaing the toll records of members of Congress, does that raise serious constitutional concerns?
Absolutely. And in fact, we have the PIN who notified the special counsel's office of those concerns. And Jack Smith had apparently said that he was going to consult with the Solicitor General, according to the release of the information from Senator Grassley this morning. Yet when he was deposed by the House and was specifically asked if he spoke with the Solicitor General, he said, on this discrete issue, no.
Among other issues, it raises significant issues with the speech and debate clause, correct?
Absolutely.
So much so that, as you noted, when Jack Smith subpoenaed AT&T to get my toll records, AT&T refused to comply with the subpoena because they concluded that it violated the speech and debate clause. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. And they backed down.
Jack Smith did not try to enforce that subpoena, did he?
He did not.
He did not go to court and litigate the matter, did he?
He did not.
Does that suggest, as it does to me, that he knew damn well what he was doing was illegal and would not be upheld in court?
It does suggest that.
When the federal government subpoenas donor lists, internal communications, organization records, does that implicate the First Amendment and also freedom of association in particular?
It does, and the Supreme Court made that clear in the NAACP case.
Mr. Chamberlain, aside from the legal violations, what specific crimes, if any, were actually uncovered as a result of the Arctic Frost investigation?
I'm not aware of any crimes that were uncovered.
Would the senators, donors, organizations, and individuals who were surveilled and subpoenaed have ever learned about the Arctic Frost investigation had Trump not won in 2024?
Probably not, mainly because of these non-disclosure orders, but also, I mean, the fact that a lot of these records we're now just learning about them because they were in these prohibited access files only available to the FBI director. So if the FBI director was a Democrat, there's no reason to think we'd know about them.
How would you compare the scope of the violations in Arctic Frost to Watergate?
I think, if anything, it might even be greater. I mean, the scope of this in terms of the sheer number of people and organizations affected, and as I discussed, I mean, this brazen violation of attorney-client privilege, wiretapping a phone call between Susie Wiles and her lawyer, these are egregious offenses. And you know, if Watergate was just about a single break-in, I mean, this is effectively, compound that by 200.
You may have heard that shocking revelation. No crimes were found in Operation Arctic Frost because it wasn't about crimes. It was about framing your political opponent and trying to entrap them and charge them with crimes that you made out of thin air. Senator Cruz wrapped it up perfectly when he said this at the judiciary hearing.
Watergate was about a handful of files in a single office. This reached into tens of thousands of private communications, emails, records, and personal data, toll records, bank records, donor lists, law firm records, and other personal files relating to every major conservative organization were subpoenaed.
That is a perfect example of just how widespread the abuse of power really was. And now the question is, will those that abuse their power be held to account? That's exactly what the Judiciary Committee seems to be working towards. And not only were they going after the president, they were also going after major conservative organizations, Turning Point USA, America First Policy Institute, even the Republican National Committee. So this may be just the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
People at work supported me while I was going through treatment by not treating me like somebody who was going through treatment. Treatment sucks. Cancer sucks. Being engaged with work really helped to, I just knew I was going to beat this thing.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.